America's sailors on the sea and in the air.
We're here to do a job, to get the job done so we can get home to our family.
The job to protect and defend the United States and our interests abroad.
I like being out there. I like the environment. I like the intensity.
The intense day of a sailor.
So you constantly have to be training.
Preparing for potential conflicts, taking you behind the billion-dollar technology, the homage to central Pennsylvania.
Trying to do the borough of Gettysburg proud.
And going inside the glorified cockpit of the FA-18 fighter jet. All of that in this Salute to Sailors, the CBS 21 News special.
Sailors that really make the Navy what it is.
And thank you for joining us for this CBS 21 News special. I'm Michael Gorsegner. On Memorial Day, we honor the soldiers and sailors who made the ultimate sacrifice. We thank them and everyone who serves. But now, with global threats in the Pacific and Europe, the U.S. Navy on high alert. Scattered around the world, nearly 350,000 sailors stationed on more than 300 ships, including 11 aircraft carriers, 92 cruisers and destroyers, and 68 submarines. The U.S. Navy is one of the largest in the world. And tonight, U.S. Fleet Forces Command in Norfolk, Virginia, opening its doors to me to give you a rarely seen look at the technology, personnel, and hometown heroes.
By air and on the waters, the United States Navy holding a firm grip on the safety and sovereignty of the worldwide economy.
We're on the sea, we're under the sea, we're on the land, we're in the air. We really cover a large swatch of our planet.
Just a short 250-mile drive from central Pennsylvania, Naval Station Norfolk sits as the backbone of the U.S. Fleet Forces Command. With 103,000 active duty sailors, 125 ships, and 1,000 aircraft, USFFC manning, training, and equipping roughly a third of the worldwide arsenal.
It's critical for the defense of our country. It's the main base here on the East Coast.
So we keep an eye on world events because it'll affect our daily life. It could affect us going on deployment.
At any one time, one-third of the U.S. Navy's capacity deployed across the world. With 80% of the world population living near the ocean, 90% of international trade traveling by sea, and 99% of all international communication passing through underwater cable, a robust presence is necessary.
It's a very capable vessel that can get us enough information that we need.
Known as the Silent Service, submarines like USS New Hampshire helping to protect the 70% of the Earth's surface covered by water. Returning to Norfolk in January, New Hampshire and her crew, including York County native David Leeper, enjoying a little surface time after 6 months underwater.
It literally is like Groundhog's Day. It's like you don't know what's going on or what to expect, but like you just go day to day and like a whole routine.
It's tough. Like you work every day. So I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it, say it's easy.
CD East graduate Seaman Harsh Patel taking in the experience underway to expand his knowledge base.
What drives me is to push myself to become a better person, to serve my nation, and yeah, make my parents proud.
You constantly have to be training. And it's not just training to fight, it's training to keep yourself in shape. It's training to educate yourself so that you are constantly learning and better than your adversary.
It's not normal for people to kind of do the things we do.
Those abnormalities, like spending weeks underwater in tight confines of a sub, are key to the success of the Navy. Every sub in the U.S. arsenal, nuclear-powered, meaning the boats never have to surface, except to get food for the 130 sailors aboard. In comparison to China, U.S. subs, a huge advantage right now. To central Pennsylvania is key to the code.
I just want to gain experience, knowledge about how the Navy works, and experience many different places.
The sailors are our secret weapon. You know, without them, a ship is just a big hunk of metal. An aircraft is just a big hunk of metal. It's those sailors that really make the Navy what it is.
Now, when the sailors head off on deployment, many times they are attached to a carrier strike group. At the center of the group, the aircraft carrier. Think of it as a Mr. Potato Head. Now, the aircraft carrier and its 5,000 sailors, that's the body of the potato. Start adding parts, like a cruiser, a few destroyers. How about an air wing or maybe even a submarine. And then the entire body or group fills out. Still, the carrier is at the center of the group with a single goal of launching and recovering aircraft. I got the chance to go inside the cockpit with the real-life Mavericks and Goose and the team behind getting those FA-18 fighter jets in the air.
Catapulting off of a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier at 170 miles per hour, a bone-jarring experience for most. But for these naval aviators, it's just another day at the office.
This is insane. This is a rocket ship. This is the coolest thing I could ever do.
As a little girl, Lieutenant Nicole Burdett had sky-high dreams to be a veterinarian. Only after purchasing a Groupon to learn to fly a Cessna did the FA-18 pilot consider getting her naval wings.
Why drive a school bus when you can drive a Ferrari? So that kind of drove me right to the Navy of when else am I going to get the ability to fly a Ferrari, and this is it.
But before flying nearly Mach 2, which equates to about 1,200 miles per hour in the FA-18 Super Hornet, naval aviators pushing the boundaries of education. To enter the pilot community, a bachelor's degree is a must before heading to officer candidate school. After 2 years of flight school, the Navy then helping to determine which pipeline a pilot will travel before settling on a specialty.
For me, I'm getting to see the world. I get, a stable life for my family. So for me, I love what I do.
Flight operations aboard a naval aircraft carrier can be described as controlled chaos. More than 70 aircraft normally on this deck. Right now, a quiet, serene setting this early in the morning. However, this ship has the capabilities to launch aircraft every 30 to 45 seconds, getting them in the air, making sure that the Navy is ready for anything.
Jets will break, we fix them, and we get them back out, and that's our sole mission.
Before jets can launch from the deck of USS Dwight D. Eisenhower or take flight from Naval Air Station Oceana, a bustling team of ground personnel making sure the aircraft are fit for flight.
It requires a crew to fuel them. It requires a crew to overlook them completely. We have ordnance men that upload whatever type of ordnance.
With around 3,700 aircraft in the fleet, the U.S. Navy, the second largest aviation unit in the entire world behind the U.S. Air Force. In fact, an aircraft carrier like the Eisenhower, or Ike as it's affectionately known, and the 5,000 men and women aboard the ship have one single purpose: launching and retrieving aircraft.
I like being out there. I like the environment. I like the intensity.
I love the view. I'll never get tired of it. I love the sound of the aircraft rolling. I mean, it's one life I love to live.
You're constantly evolving, and when you think you've become a really good pilot, you hit the next level of training.
While the training might evolve, a pilot's call sign generally is picked a few months into flight school and sticks for a career. That is, unless a change is warranted.
So my call sign was originally Sweet D. It's actually Disaster now. Due to some unforeseen, very unfortunate circumstances on deployment.
Not lost on these men and women, the importance of the mission, the safety of the country and the $65 million aircraft, and most importantly, the joy of doing what they love for a living.
I was all about being a mechanic on an F-18, and it's never gotten old, and I'm still doing it 17 years later.
So you don't have a whole lot of time to just look out the window and go, wow, I'm flying an F-18. But once in a while, those flights happen, and you're just sitting there looking out the window going, oh my gosh, I'm flying an F-18.
Now, with the emergence of mental health needs across the country, the Navy doubling down to keep sailors on the right path. New this year, the Navy releasing a mental health playbook acting as a preventive maintenance check for the mind. With almost 350,000 sailors worldwide, the needs are great, but Navy brass recognizing that mental health is about personnel readiness and sailors must be mentally fit to be ready to serve.
The Navy is making mental health more accessible today. Those accessibilities have always been available, but if the sailors don't know it's there, then they don't know it's there.
From tending to family needs to making mental health a priority, sailors encouraged to take care of themselves so they can take care of our country. Well, there are many reasons why someone might want to join the Navy, but recruiting's still a challenge. Coming up, the measures the United States is taking to get more people on board the aircraft carriers. But first, a shout out from one of our hometown heroes.
You want to say anything to your mom and dad if they're watching?
No, I love you guys, and I'll be seeing you.
Trying my best, don't give up on me, and yeah, I miss you guys a lot.
And now, CBS 21's Salute to Sailors.
Just like private companies in the United States, struggling to hire. Take a look at these numbers. In 1995, the Navy employing nearly 430,000 active duty sailors. Fast forward 26 years, that number down to 86,000, hovering around 343,000 total. Many sailors joining for the experiences like seeing the world. Aboard the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, Central Pennsylvania natives are making a difference for the safety of our country.
To have 5,000 people on an aircraft carrier like we do here, all doing their jobs in an effort for the same goal of protecting our nation, protecting our economy, like that's something to be a part of.
To bolster numbers, the Navy throwing some money at the issue. In the 2024 budget request that totals over $250 billion, Navy brass continuing an increased enlistment bonus. Additionally, the budget including a 5% raise for sailors and Marines, the largest increase in pay in some 22 years. To attract the best and the brightest oftentimes takes the allure of the newest technology. The United States Navy in an arms race with China. How the branch is leaning on our men and women, training them with some of the most state-of-the-art technology.
It's not an easy thing being out here, but I miss you all and I love you all, and we fired Ram and it was awesome.
And now, CBS 21's Salute to Sailors.
Sweet sounds from an unlikely source. U.S. Navy sailors performing as part of the U.S. Fleet Forces Band. Known as the finest of the fleet, the band performs more than 400 times per year in support of military ceremonies and events, foreign dignitaries, and community outreach. The mission, a full-time venture with love for music driving the tune.
The chance to represent the country in other parts of the world, people are super receptive, both to the uniform and then of course to music because it is the universal language. Those experiences, that's the best part.
But it's not just classical instruments keeping the music alive. Well, I don't know how much help I was right there either, but the U.S. Navy employing a rock band to play for the public and serve as a recruiting tool, visiting schools and events, spreading the good time. Well, let's be real, those instruments are pretty old school. You've seen them all before. What you haven't seen, though, is the new technology that other sailors get to use each and every day. China outpacing the U.S. when it comes to building new ships, but U.S. officials are leaning on manpower and training to prevail on the high seas. An inside look at the tech and tools preparing our men and women for battle.
A gunfight erupts on the open waters. U.S. Navy sailors protecting the country's assets. A real-life scenario playing out on the big screen.
Technology has improved our training drastically.
During the simulation, 5 sailors being put through the paces. A small boat armed with 250 caliber heavy machine guns fending off the enemy. Instead of spending huge amounts of time and money with live fire training, a simulator acting as a guide.
There's a lot of learning curve associated with it. It's just a different way for the Navy to implement their pre-planned responses.
We can put the sailors through in environments and through situations that are just too dangerous to simulate at sea.
Before getting behind the controls of a $1 billion+ Los Angeles class fast tack submarine, crewmen running through a simulator, learning to experience operations underwater, a vital part of the experience where mistakes don't cost lives.
We can do any number of things in here, from basic level surfacing evolutions to periscope depth, or we can do complex casualties that actually really test the watch team as a group.
So we're looking at an LCAC, one of the greatest things in the Navy.
Technological advances fueling the Navy at every turn. With 16,000 horsepower turning 4 double-sided fans, the LCAC, or Landing Craft Air Cushion, able to transport materials, equipment, and personnel from ship to shore.
Equipment, anything that we can strap on the deck that they need to get from the ship to the beach, we are the transportation.
We do transport the Marines. Whatever they need done when we do beach hits, we take them where the ships can't take them.
Air cushion technology making this vehicle unique, able to land just about anywhere. In fact, only about 15% of the world's coastline is accessible to conventional landing craft. With the LCAC, that number jumps to 70%. With top speeds of over 40 miles per hour, the LCAC is a big, fast, expensive taxi.
It is a one-of-a-kind job that I really, really enjoy operating.
But to get the LCAC, the hovercraft, from place to place takes a much bigger effort. Enter the USS Carter Hall. This well deck right here actually floods with water, starting about 2 feet all the way to 8 feet. That way the hovercraft can come on board, able to not only complete, but also start a mission.
So this is where we launch and recover our landing craft.
With a motto of working for peace, ready for war, the USS Carter Hall, a dock landing ship, tasked with transporting Marine personnel, landing craft vehicles, and cargo to forward position.
Our offensive capability is our ability to take Marines from the sea and put them wherever they need to be on land.
With 350 sailors on board, Lieutenant Commander John Horst from Lancaster County oversees about 24 men and women, making sure Carter Hall and her crew are ready for both military and humanitarian efforts. Almost 2 decades of service, expanding the worldview of this central Pennsylvania native.
I've seen so many more countries than I would have ever have normally seen just as a kid from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania.
Now, the Pennsylvania ties in the U.S. Navy are strong. You've already heard from a number of sailors from the Keystone State, but there's one big piece of Central PA once again hitting the open seas. Coming up, jump aboard the USS Gettysburg as the boat honors the town and pays tribute to the turning point of the Civil War.
And now, CBS 21's Salute to Sailors.
A piece of Central Pennsylvania graces the waters at Naval Station Norfolk. Commissioned in 1991, the USS Gettysburg just finished an 8-year overhaul and is once again seaworthy. I got to go inside the guided missile cruiser and see firsthand the tight-knit relationship shared between the sailors and the Gettysburg community.
With a touch of paint and some last-minute TLC, USS Gettysburg sits proudly in the Norfolk port, ready to make her namesake proud.
I'm a Pennsylvania guy born and raised in Allentown.
Never out of touch with his Keystone State roots, Commander Thomas Hoffman takes great pleasure in serving aboard USS Gettysburg. Commissioned in 1991, the Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser, one of only 17 such ships in the entire Navy.
It means a lot to be on a ship that has such a deep connection to my home state.
It's just a great relationship. We're telling each other's story and we appreciate each other very much.
Around every corner, it seems, on the 32-year-old vessel, the history of Gettysburg on full display. From the signal bell to placards to the burrow shield covering the rope lines to keep the critters out, the prominence and story of Gettysburg runs deep.
We take that very seriously here and understand what we represent when we wear a ball cap that says Gettysburg on it.
Aboard the USS Gettysburg, plenty of homages to the Battle of Gettysburg, including this, a print of the cyclorama. The 1880s print was actually given by the Gettysburg Foundation to the ship, and then they enlarged it, putting it here in the best deck, not only for the sailors to see, to be part of the ship's history.
It is an opportunity for Gettysburg to extend itself literally around the world and tell the story of Gettysburg.
Despite being over 250 miles from her home port of Norfolk, the borough of Gettysburg deeply committed to the long-standing relationship. Inside Borough Hall, USS Gettysburg hats, pins, and even a cookbook proudly show off the commitment.
I came right out of A school to the Gettysburg. I told my mom, I'm like, I'm going to the Gettysburg. She's like, oh, that's cool. You're from Pennsylvania. I've went to the Gettysburg before, like the actual town itself, for a field trip. So it was kind of ironic.
With 327 men and women aboard the Gettysburg, the health and safety of the crew vital to Pennsylvanians keeping a watchful eye.
When you're here to help them out, you actually see them recover. It's just rewarding.
The environment's stressful. The days are long. Some days you don't want to be here, but the people really, and the family and community that you build here, they really become your family.
A tight community aboard a small ship circumventing the world. And when this vessel pulls into port, Pennsylvania pride shines. The sacrifices of the warriors in 1863 displaying the history, while the current crop of sailors making the world a safer place every day.
You know, going around seeing the world, different cultures and whatnot, it definitely gives you a broader view of just how diverse the world really is.
Just trying to do the borough of Gettysburg proud.
Well, now you've gotten a first-hand look at the many things the U.S. Navy has to offer. We want to thank everyone who has served or is currently serving in all of our armed forces. And thank you for joining us for this CBS 21 News special. I'm Michael Gorsegner. The news at 6 is next.